You know, I have been like, advertising isn't the right word because I haven't been advertising this channel, but I have been toting this channel as a writing channel and like documenting my writing process and all the projects I'm working on. And I realize that I haven't been doing that like at all. I've just been doing little vlogs and stuff, which again, to reiterate, this is all an experiment. This is all just like me learning the process and learning YouTube and learning recording and stuff. So like, I didn't expect to be a, author tuber out the gate, but it would probably be to my benefit to actually discuss like who I am and what I'm working on. And like, I think I've said my name in like one video once. And that's one of the things that I even mentioned or like posted about when I was first considering doing the channel is, do I want to use my real name? Because A, my real name is long and obnoxious and hard to spell and hard to remember. And I don't really want to go by that on the internet if it's going to be hard for people to deal with. And also because, I don't know, it's the internet. The internet's weird. I don't want some weirdo, like, knowing who I am and looking me up on the internet and shit. Though, to be fair, like, I have not tried to hide who I am. Like, you can very easily find me in other places on the internet, so that shouldn't even be a thing. But hello, my name is Jessie. I worked at an animation studio. I know I've gone over this in another video, but just to reiterate for anyone who might be new, hello. Not that I have any new subscribers, but if this happens to be the first video you're viewing, congratulations. It's probably a good one to start with. I worked at an animation studio not as a writer for 15 years. And I was unceremoniously let go last year because some person with a very, I don't know, big hat and low sense of self-worth decided that it would be better to send my entire department's responsibilities to folks in other countries who wouldn't need to have like health insurance and minimum wage provided for them. So my entire department, minus like 2 people, lost their jobs after 15 years. A lot of people have been there even longer than me, so we're super thrilled about that. I've been writing, not professionally, but as a hobby for my entire life, and it was only sort of in the past decade or so when I really started thinking like, maybe I could actually do this writing thing. Maybe I could, I don't know yet if I want to like write books or if I want to write scripts, because again, I was really embedded in like the TV animation space. So I was used to seeing scripts. I was used to communicating with television writers. So I was just kind of like exploring and taking classes and doing this, that, and the other thing. And like gradually, gently, like letting people know that I was interested in writing. And then I lost my job. And then it was like, oh, I guess if this is a thing that I'm going to do, I better fucking do it. Because now is the time. Unfortunately, now really isn't the time because I don't know if you guys know this if you're not in the industry, but Hollywood is kind of fucked right now. So in previous years, in my time at the studio, I had seen people go from entry-level production associates to, writer's assistants, associate writers, script coordinators, to fully fledged writers in a span of like 5 to 7 years. Like, this was a path that you could potentially take. And granted, I was not a PA, but I was in that ecosystem, and I figured this is a viable path for me as well. I can jump tracks, and everybody knows me, everybody likes me. I'm cool to work with. It'll be super easy for me to just sort of finagle my way around the back, and that's not really an option anymore because the last PA job that I applied to, where I was in communication with the HR department, they said they had 7,000 applicants. for a single PA job. And because they knew me and they knew that my goal wasn't production in the long term, they knew that I was just using this as a little way to weasel around, they weren't even going to look at me, because with 7,000 applicants for this specific job, they wanted someone who wanted to be there, who wanted to be in production. Like, this isn't a little, like, experiment that they're toying around with, and they need to be very picky about who they're bringing in. And because I had started advertising that I wanted to be a writer when I applied, they were like, afraid not anymore. This could have flown a decade ago, but not now. So here we are. So here I am living off my savings. I'm very fortunate that I was in a position for so long where I could, generate savings, but they're not going to last forever. And we're still applying to places. We're still applying to things outside of the industry. I set up a Fiverr account, and all I've gotten so far, within 24 hours of creating my Fiverr account, I stopped counting around 17 or 18. I got so many spam requests. Not a single real human, and I was not expecting. I want to be very clear about this, because I haven't even really finished setting up my profile in any comprehensive way. I was not expecting any real human interaction on this website for weeks to come, hopefully, if it ever does happen. So when I got that first message, I was like, oh, holy crap. And then I looked, and then I got another one, and another one, and another one, and another one, and they were all scams. And I'm like, is this how it works on this website? Because that sucks. Anyway, we'll get back to Fiverr in maybe a different video, a different conversation. So we're still figuring stuff out. If you know anyone hiring, hit me up. I've applied to work at bookstores. I've applied to work at stationery stores. I've applied to work at retail stores. I've applied to work at thrift stores. I did work at a movie theater for about a month, but I very quickly realized that I am old, and that working until after midnight every night, because they were mandatory hours that you had to work, was destroying me. And it was a minimum wage job. So I ended up quitting that job, which was, I don't know if it was the smartest thing to do, because again, here I am in unemployment land feeling like shit. But that job, unfortunately, made me feel like shit. Not to say that it wasn't fun. I actually really enjoyed working at the movie theater, but it was just the hours were just not conducive to survival in any way. If the pay was better, it would have made it worth it in some way, but for minimum wage, it just wasn't working for me. All that to say, someone please hire me. But also to say that I'm working on multiple projects. Some of them are personal, for fun. Maybe someday I'll self-publish. I have really no aspirations of traditional publishing. Some of them are writing samples that I will use for applications to places. They are representative of, if I were to apply for a position for script writing, they would be, my samples. So it's been kind of interesting, admittedly kind of difficult to maintain these projects in my brain and decide not only what I want to be working on, but what I should be working on, because I know right now I should be working on a very specific sample script that I mentioned before, Summer Invasion. But right now all I want to do is work on a personal project, Project Lilith, and it's finding that balance of okay, well, if I work on Summer Invasion, can I reward myself with Lilith later? How do I do this? Because I also have very little self-discipline. It's so much easier for me to do things again, with Shut Up and Write, I know there are going to be other people there, and I know that it is my responsibility to be there for those people since I'm the organizer. That is a very specific responsibility that I have. And so I have no problem hitting those responsibilities. But when it's just me, and I'm just like floating around trying to figure out what it is that I'm supposed to be doing, it's kind of like, what do I feel like doing? Which is horrible, which is not good. I need some self-discipline. It's not good. Anyway, I wanted to talk a bit about what all of those projects are that I'm working on, and what you hopefully, if I follow through on this, will be seeing on this channel moving forward. Good? Good. You know what, maybe we should do this like an iceberg. So like at the tippy top, y'all are familiar with an iceberg, right? Where it's like, here's the stuff that is the most like obvious and prevalent and like the things that are easy to understand. And then we go a little bit lower and it's like, ooh, this is the stuff that's a little more intriguing and a little more in depth. And then you go under the water and it's like, oh, here's in the depths, this is where the weird shit happens. Maybe we'll do it like that. So at the tippy top of the iceberg are the two projects that I have mentioned many times, including several times in this very video, which is How I Spent My Summer Invasion and Project Lilith. This is also going to be a test of my pitching abilities, which is something I desperately need to improve upon. Okay, Summer Invasion. How I Spent My Summer Invasion is I have my notes right here, so if I look off to the side, it's because I'm reading my notes. It's fine. How I Spent My Summer Invasion is a fish out of water coming of age comedy for bridge or 6 to 11 audiences. It is about two alien siblings on a dangerous mission to infiltrate, fit in, and stick together at human summer camp. This is my sample script. I do already have sample scripts on my website, but this one I feel like has the strongest story engine, which is the thing that generates the episodes, right? So generally the way my mind works, unfortunately, we're working on it, is with one arcing plot, like one grand sequential story, and then, you know, the B plot or whatever. So this is the first time I've really gone all in on the episodic style series, where it's, generally speaking, things reset at the end of the episode. There may be like a very broad arc sort of thing, but realistically the things that happen in the individual episodes can be standalone. They don't necessarily need to be watched in any particular sort of order. This is the project that I should be working on. I have completed the outline. I have gotten feedback on the outline from writers in the industry who like it, which is amazing. And it's just a matter now of incorporating their notes, because thank God, you have no idea how satisfying it is when different people who don't even know each other come to you with the same note. That feels so good, because yes, you messed up on something, but there is a consensus on what you messed up on, which makes it so much easier to fix. So this is the number one thing that I should be working on right now. Am I working on it? No. I am not working on it, because I am instead working on Project Lilith. I am going to put the word count of how many words I have written for Project Lilith right over here, if I can figure out how. This is the one. It started as a National Novel Writing Month project many years ago. So this story means a lot to me. And I really have been feeling very inspired lately to revisit it and to restructure it, because again, when I wrote it previously, I wasn't as in the trenches. I hadn't, learned as much as I have at this point. I feel way better equipped to approach this story now than I did then. So I have reread what I wrote, and I regret to inform you all that I actually really like what I wrote, which is going to make it all the more difficult to evolve from. Project Lilith is a paranormal mystery for the tween, teen, YA audience. Where Summer Invasion was a script, this is a novel. I have the tagline written down here because it took me so long to write it, and I don't have it memorized yet, so bear with me as I read you the tagline. When a new magic appears at her high school, a witch must decide whether to honor her coven's traditions or break a centuries-long cycle. That is subject to change, but that is where it stands right now, and I'm quite pleased with that as representative of where the story currently stands and what it is currently. I really want to work on this story. I actually... Follow me on Instagram. I just posted that I signed up for a class. There's a, like, witchy shop that I love going to, and they are having a course on, I can't remember exactly, you know what, let me look it up. The full 8-week course is titled The Queens of Shadow and Sovereignty. I'm not signing up for the whole 8-week course, but I am signing up for the specific class on Lilith, because she is very relevant to this story, and I have my own understanding of that character, archetype, deity, demon, whatever you want to call her, because she is many different things to many different cultures. So I'm really curious to see, coming from this practitioner point of view, but yeah, so I'm deep in Project Lilith, and I really want to be working on this. But this is not going to get me a job. Summer Invasion might get me a job. Project Lilith probably won't. And it will also take a really long time to write. So, there's another thing that I would like to write. This is the, like, part of the iceberg that's just chilling on the surface of the water. Sometimes it, like, bobs up. Sometimes it's underwater. It's just... I came up with this idea. It started when I heard that there was going to be a new Buffy the Vampire series. This we're calling Project Ripper. And if you're familiar with Buffy the Vampire Slayer, you will know immediately an approximation of what the premise of this is. You can say it began as fan fiction, but it has evolved since then. And I don't even know yet if I want this to be a script or like a novella. I don't think there's enough there yet for it to be a novel or even like a series of books. But the premise, I think, again, harkening back to a story engine, I think that what I have currently makes a really good pilot, but I'm not sure, like, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it yet. Oh, this would be a young adult, new adult, supernatural dramedy Buffy the Vampire Slayer. A violent punk tasked with reforming must find new ways to fight when his problems turn paranormal. I love this idea so much. I just don't know what I'm going to do with it. And in this little document that I'm referencing here, I should show you a page of this. Maybe I'll find a way to put a page up here. Basically, I have my project name, the tagline, the genre, comps, which is like things that it is similar to, the themes of it, the thing that makes me want to write it, and then the thing that I'm scared of when I start writing it. And the thing that I'm scared of when I start writing this is that because I really do like witchy things and demonic things, even more so than Lilith, I am gonna get hung up on like making sure that every reference is accurate. And it's gonna eat me alive. And I know that like those are the kinds of things, those kinds of specifics are what you want to get into in your editing phase. You just want to get the idea out first. You just want to be able to say that this guy has made a summoning circle. You do not need to know what goes into the summoning circle until draft 4. Okay? But I know myself. And I know that the research is the fun part. And I know I'm going to want to know. And then under the water, like I said, Project Ripper, you could say, is based on fan fiction. Under the Water is like straight up fan fiction that I need to, what's the phrase? There's a very specific phrase. Like sand off the barcode or something. I need to figure out how to rewrite it in a way that it isn't very apparent what it's fan fiction of. I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed. But I'm a little ashamed. So I won't go into too much detail on that here, but I will say, and I never finished it. I never finished it, by the way. I did do over 10,000 words on it, but I never finished it. And from what I did post, I'm going to delete it before this video is up, so y'all can't find it. What I did post, like, I got a comment on it from someone that was like, this made me cry. And that was like the first thing that I'd ever shared anonymously on the internet, and to get a response from someone that said, this made me cry, this was so good. I'm like, fuck. I want to turn it into something. I want to turn it into something that I can share with people. But I don't really know how to do that because it is so embedded in the world in which it was set that in order to make it its own thing is going to be very, very difficult. So that is like way, you know, maybe something that I'm gonna do in the future, but that is not something that is even on the docket right now, but I'm mentioning it here because it brings me amusement and because it is something that is floating around in my head that I do want to work on at some point. So those are my 4 main projects. Hopefully you will see me working on them moving forward. And hopefully you will see me completing them. And maybe someday you will even read them. We're working on it. I don't know how to end this video. So, thanks for watching! If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe! So thanks for hanging out. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.